The quiet out here is not empty. It breathes. It settles into your bones and teaches you how to live without noise. On my ranch in Harney County, Oregon, quiet is the wind moving over dry grass, sheep shifting in the pen, and the slow creak of a barn door opened every morning. It is also the kind of quiet that grows inside a man after loss, when he stops expecting anyone to come looking for him. So when the gate bell rang that afternoon, it did not sound normal. It sounded like a warning. July heat pressed down hard, close to 40 degrees. Sweat clung to my back as I worked the fence line where my sheep always tested the wire. My hands were dusty and sore when I heard the bell again. Not sharp, not rushed. Hesitant, like someone unsure they should be there at all. I wiped my face, climbed onto the ATV, and drove the long gravel path toward the gate. I expected trouble. A hiker, a county worker, maybe another land issue. What I did not expect was her. She stood by the wooden post, half in the shade, half in the sun. Dust clung to her jeans. Her blonde hair was tied back loose, strands sticking to her neck. She carried a small backpack and held a crumpled envelope like it was the only thing keeping her standing. She looked about my age, tired, not just from the heat, from life. I stopped a few feet away and stayed behind the gate out of habit. Before I could speak, she met my eyes and said it fast, like she had practiced. My father said I'm the payment for his debt. The words hit and hung in the air. I stared at her, my mind slowed to catch up. "Excuse me?" was all I could manage. She swallowed. "My dad owed your father $50,000 for my mom's cancer treatment. She died. The debt passed to me. I'm here to settle it." She held out the envelope. Her hand shook just a little. I took it and opened it. Inside were papers, a handwritten note, a notarized document from Burns. Her name was printed clearly at the top. Emily Carter. My chest tightened. My father had been gone 3 years. A ranch accident that still didn't feel real. Since then, it had just been me, the land, and the animals. "I didn't know about this," I said honestly. "Why now?" Emily looked down at the dirt. He said it was time. He said you'd understand. Her voice did not beg. It's accepted. "I don't have money," she added, "but I can work. I grew up on farms. I'll do anything." Something about the way she said it made my stomach twist, like she had already decided she was something to be traded. I could have sent her away. I could have closed the gate, but I heard my dad's voice clear as day. A person is not a debt. I opened the gate wider. "Come inside," I said. "It's too hot out here. We'll talk." She hesitated, then nodded. Inside the farmhouse, I gave her water and food. She drank like she had been holding her breath for hours. We sat at the old kitchen table. I looked at her and spoke slow and clear. "You are not payment," I said. "Nobody owns you. Stay tonight. Tomorrow we figure this out the right way." Emily's eyes filled, not with relief, but confusion. That night, while she slept down the hall, I went through my father's papers, and that was when I found the truth. The loan was real, but it had been forgiven years ago. Emily owed nothing, and I knew her story was just beginning. I did not sleep much that night. The house felt different, heavier, like the walls were holding secrets they had kept quiet for years. Rex lay at the foot of my bed, lifting his head every time the floor creaked. My mind stayed stuck on one thing. Emily did not owe anyone anything. Yet she had walked onto my land, ready to give up her life like it was a bill. Before sunrise, I went into my dad's old office. Dust hung in the air. The smell of leather and stale coffee still clung to the room. I pulled papers from drawers and laid them out on the desk again, checking dates, numbers, signatures. Everything matched. The loan was forgiven. It was final. Whatever Emily believed, it was built on a lie. When I heard movement in the kitchen, I closed the drawer and stepped out. Emily stood at the sink, washing the few dishes we had used the night before. She moved carefully, like she was afraid of taking up space. "Morning," I said. She turned, startled, then smiled weakly. "I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to help." "You're fine," I told her. I poured coffee and set a mug in front of her. She wrapped both hands around it like the warmth mattered more than the drink. We sat at the table again, the same one my dad and I had shared for years. I needed to be careful. I had the truth, but truth can hurt if you drop it too fast. "Emily," I said, "while you're here, if you want to work, we do it right. Real job, real pay. Clear rules." I wrote a simple agreement on a notepad. Hours pay, room and food included. No hidden meanings. I slid it to her. She read it slowly, then nodded. "This is fair." "It should be," I said. She signed with a steady hand, but her shoulders stayed tight. The weight was still there. Over the next days, she worked hard. Harder than she needed to. She learned fast and never complained. I watched her laugh once while working cattle, a quick sound like it surprised her too. It stayed with me longer than it should have. That evening, she told me about her mom, about hospitals in Portland, about her dad changing after the loss. I listened, feeling anger build quiet and sharp. I still hadn't told her the truth, not yet. Because something deeper was wrong, and I needed proof that would protect her when it all came crashing down. I drove into Burns early the next morning while Emily was still asleep. The sky was pale and wide, the road empty. Rex rode beside me with his head out the window, happy like it was any other day. I did not feel happy. I felt like I was carrying something fragile that could break her if I handled it wrong. At the county office, the clerk recognized my last name and gave me a sad smile when she mentioned my dad. She printed the records without fuss. When she stamped the papers and slid them across the counter, my chest loosened. There it was, in plain ink. The loan was forgiven. No debt, no transfer. Nothing tied to Emily. Official and clear. On the drive back, anger crept in. Someone had let Emily believe she was worth less than a balance sheet. Someone had sent her here like she had no choice. When I reached the ranch, Emily was in the barn practicing with the milking machine. Dust streaked her cheek. She smiled when she saw me, and it twisted something deep in my chest. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Sit down," I said gently. "We need to talk." Her smile faded. She wiped her hands and sat on a bucket, back straight, braced for bad news. I laid the papers out slowly. The bank record, my dad's email, the county filing. "This debt," I said, keeping my voice steady, "was forgiven 4 years ago. You don't owe me anything. You never did." She stared at the pages like they were written wrong. Her fingers shook as she picked one up. Her breathing changed, short and sharp. "He knew," she whispered. My dad knew. "Yes," I said. She didn't cry right away. Her shoulders just sagged like something holding her upright finally gave out. "All that money," she said. "All those years." I stayed close but didn't touch her. She needed space to let it land. "I want to know why," she said finally, lifting her eyes. "I want the truth." "We'll find it," I said. That night, we spread her records across the kitchen table. And that's when we found the second lie. A new loan, $60,000, filed in her name. She had never signed it. The room went quiet. "This isn't over," I said. And somewhere deep inside, I knew trouble was already on its way. The next few days felt tight, like the air before a storm. Emily worked in the mornings like always, but I could see the worry sitting behind her eyes. In the afternoons, we went through records on my laptop, line by line. Every dollar she had sent her father. Every date. None of it went where she had been told. It all pointed back to the same name tied to the fake loan. Victor Salazar. Emily stood up from the table when I said it out loud. "Why would he do this?" she asked. "Because your land is worth more than he wants you to know," I said. She went pale when I showed her the map. The land her grandparents left her sat over a natural gas pocket. Quiet money. Easy money. If she was out of the way, it could be sold fast. "He sent me here," she whispered, "so I couldn't stop it." Before I could answer, Rex started barking. Not his normal bark. A warning. I looked out the window and saw a black SUV turning up my drive, dust rising behind it. My body went still. 3 men stepped out. 2 stayed back. 1 walked forward with a slow smile and a gold chain at his neck. Salazar. I stepped onto the porch with Rex at my side. Emily came out behind me and froze when she saw him. "Jack Miller," Salazar said. "Heard you got something that belongs to me?" "This is private property," I said. "Leave." He waved a folded paper. "Atrox says the girl is collateral." "I'm not going anywhere," Emily said, her voice shaking but firm. Salazar smiled wider. "You don't get a choice." I moved in front of her. "Those papers are fraud." His eyes narrowed. "Careful." Rex growled low. Salazar glanced at the dog, then back at me. "This can be easy or ugly." "Get off my land," I said. For a moment, he looked like he might push it. Then he stepped back, still smiling. "This isn't over." The SUV tore back down the drive. Emily sagged against the railing. "He'll come back." "Not without a fight," I said, already reaching for my phone. Because this was no longer just about paperwork. It was about protecting her. I called the sheriff first. My voice stayed calm, but my hands shook when I hung up. Then I called my lawyer in Burns, the same one who helped me during the land dispute last year. He listened without interrupting, then told me to stay put and lock everything. A deputy arrived before sunset. He took our statements, checked the tire tracks, and nodded like he had seen men like Salazar before. Before he left, he looked straight at Emily. "If he comes back, you call us. Right away." She nodded, pale but steady. That night, the ranch felt too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you listen for engines instead of crickets. Emily sat at the kitchen table, twisting her fingers together. "I feel like I brought trouble into your life," she said softly. I shook my head. The trouble was already there. "You just walked into it." Thunder rolled outside, low and distant. A rare summer storm moved in, rain tapping the roof like it was trying to get our attention. Emily flinched at the sound. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "You barely know me." I did not answer right away because the truth scared me. I helped her because it was right, but also because she had cracked something open in me that I had kept closed since my dad died. "Because you deserve someone on your side," I said. She looked at me like she didn't quite believe it. Later that night, she called her father from the house phone. I stayed close, listening without looking at her. She asked him why he lied. She asked about the new loan. There was silence on the other end. Then the line went dead. Emily stood there, holding the receiver, eyes burning. "That's my answer," she whispered. The next morning, we drove to Burns together. The courthouse smelled like old paper and wood polish. My lawyer filed for an emergency injunction to freeze her land and reported the fraud. We moved fast. Faster than the people who wanted to trap her. On the drive back, Emily stared out the window. "I don't know who I am without all of this," she said. "You'll figure it out," I told her. "You don't have to do it alone." She looked at me then, really looked at me. And for the first time, the fear wasn't the only thing in her eyes. The hearing came 3 days later. Those days crawled. Every sound on the ranch made me look up. Rex patrolled the fence line like he knew what we were waiting for. Emily tried to stay busy, but I could see the worry in the way she checked the road too often. We drove to Burns before sunrise. The courthouse rose out of the quiet street like it had been waiting for us. Inside, everything smelled old and serious. My lawyer met us at the door and told Emily to stay calm and tell the truth. Salazar was already there with a sharp-looking lawyer. But the sight that hit Emily hardest was her father sitting in the back, wrists cuffed, eyes on the floor. She went stiff beside me. I leaned close. "I've got you," I whispered. She nodded once. The judge listened without patience for drama. The bank records spoke first. The loan had been forgiven. Clear and final. My dad's email confirmed it. Salazar's lawyer tried to argue paperwork, but the judge shut him down fast. Then Emily's father took the stand. He admitted the loan was forgiven. He admitted he lied. When the judge asked why, his voice cracked. He talked about gambling, about fear, about thinking he could fix it later. Emily stood up then, shaking. "I'm your daughter," she said. The judge ordered her to sit, but her eyes softened just a little. The ruling came fast. The fake loan was void. Emily's land was hers alone. A restraining order was issued against Salazar. The judge referred the case for criminal investigation. Emily didn't cry until it was over. When she did, she leaned into me like her body finally understood she was safe. I held her in that old courtroom and felt something change in me, too. Outside, the sky looked the same, but nothing else did. "I'm free," she whispered. "Yes," I said. "You are." On the drive home, she covered my hand with hers and didn't pull away. For the first time, the future felt real. Leaving the courthouse felt strange, like stepping into a world that hadn't caught up yet. Burns looked the same. The streets, the shops, the sky stretched wide and calm. But Emily walked beside me differently, like she was learning how to move without chains. Back at the ranch, Rex came running so fast he almost knocked her over. She laughed, a full laugh this time, and dropped to her knees to hug him. I stood there watching, realizing how quiet the fear had become. Not gone, but no longer in control. That evening, we sat on the porch as the sun slid behind the hills. The light turned everything gold. Emily leaned against the railing, breathing slow. "What do I do now?" she asked. The question carried years of weight. "You decide," I said. "You don't owe anyone anything." "Not your dad, not me." She nodded, then looked at me. And here, my heart thumped once, hard. "You can stay," I said, "if you want. No pressure." She searched my face like she was expecting a trick. When she didn't find one, her shoulders relaxed. "I don't want to run anymore," she said. "I want to choose." She stepped closer. Her hand brushed my arm, light but sure. I turned toward her, giving her time. She didn't pull away. She leaned in and kissed me. It was slow, careful, honest, like we were both asking the same quiet question and answering yes. When we pulled back, she rested her forehead against mine. "I want to stay," she whispered, "'cause I want to." "Then stay," I said, "as long as you want." Life didn't turn perfect overnight, but it turned real. Emily stood straighter. She laughed more. She stopped asking permission to exist, and I realized something else. I was laughing too. Living instead of just holding things together. One night, as stars filled the sky, she took my hand and squeezed it once. "I thought I was only worth what I could repay," she said. "You were always worth more," I told her. The quiet settled around us again, but this time it wasn't lonely. It felt like home.